Welcome into the second season of episode 16 of the second season of Unhinged, Unfiltered, and Unscripted. And as always, unmedicated and every other one you could think of. I was gonna say uneducated, but we're not. We are so far educated. Um, Tonight's
Oh,
topic is going to be about communication. And the role it plays in just about everything known to man. Uh, and our starting affirmation is I am doing a damn good job. And let me just say, how fucking yeah we are.
fucking
Yes, we
right.
are.
Hell yeah. Can I get a hell yeah?
And then, as always, we are going to start it with just basically general conversational pieces, but also a little bit of good informations or whatever you want to go for. But I will start this by saying recently, not only did Jen and I, but a couple of other people um, have been really uh, opening up the lines of communication. Huh, get it? Sorry. Um, but talking about how important not only is communication, but also perspective is in a relationship or, well, no, any sort of relationship. For for an example, my husband and I, for a long time, we struggled with the perspective aspect of things. We could talk till the day is done, but if we couldn't see where the other person was coming from, it created a bit of an issue. Um, Not so much like fighting issues, but a just an overall um overall stickiness type issue, I guess, in a way. But ever since we learned to refocus and regroup and obviously switch the way we thought of how we handle things, things have been a lot, in a sense, nicer and easier. Ooh, shit, sorry, spilled a lot of lotion. It's been a lot easier to manage. It's caused less riffraff between the two of us and just made things easier. Granted, the whole communication part is still a bit iffy because I am stubborn and I don't talk about my problems. Um, but at least we don't quick jump the gun when it comes to the other person's viewpoints or why they did what they did or vice versa.
I
Um,
just wanted to find that's just between you and I. I can't say that for anybody else on certain
what
avenues.
what
That I don't jump the gun.
oh no, I mean don't get me wrong. There are days I do, um, as we all do. Um, but no, it definitely really does help when you have um the ability, let's say, to see it from someone else's point of view. Because you could be on the same page, but the problem is, are you in the same book? Uh, because obviously there's several different books out there, so you could be on the same page, but it's not the same book. It's gonna make it a lot harder. Um, and that's where a lot of times things kind of fall short because they don't. Son of a bitch. People just don't generally. They generally don't want to see where the other person comes from. They just want to quickly just shut it down and be done with it. And I feel like a lot of times that's where the base of most arguments come from. Um,
I think that avenue also goes with kids. I don't even want to say it's just with adults. It's
oh
us
no,
as
absolutely not. No,
right. It's us as parents and it's the kids. You know, I know you and I.
absolutely.
Right. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I am.
Yeah, fine. Perfectly
Uh,
fine. Speak to you all
um,
the time.
I know. Uh,
Ooh, thunder.
you and I just had a
Ooh,
conversation. yesterday about kids.
Yep.
And, you and I have two totally, in a way, different parenting styles, but you and I also know that regardless of what the other person says or what we think, we don't take it offensive.
No,
Um,
absolutely not.
and we're not trying to like overtower or um
Parent
make
the
the
other one.
other person right, make the other person feel like they're not doing their job as a parent. But I also know on that avenue, you and I both agreed that there's times that we talk to our children like they 110% understand and know everything that we're saying to them. And I don't think that's always the case, or we approach it like they are older than what they really are.
Yes, and also alongside that, it's always nice when you have that person who kind of reminds you, hey, no, listen, they're only kids. Again, it's frustrating, but they're kids. Because sometimes, for me, I know, like I struggle with it. Um, but it's helpful when someone else, just sends that gentle reminder of, relax, they're okay. But going with also with that is, yeah, with kids, it's very, very much the same. I mean, communication across the board is the base to any great starting relationship. You can't have any sort of foundation if you don't have this as your base. Like this is the starting point for anything that's great. And whether it's parent to kid, friend to friend, man and wife and wife, man and man, you get the what I'm saying there. But even when it comes to work, communication really it really is the strongest thing ever. And you need to make sure that you keep the line of it open. And with that, like for me, I tell my kids I don't really keep much from them as far as like my history goes in my past. Or if I tell them no, I'll explain to why I said no. Like, hey, no, you can't go jump off the roof of your playhouse, but here's why. Or no, you can't drive a car at 8, and here's why. That way, it's not just me saying no, 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 and making me, a bad mom because all she does is say no. But I explain it to them in a way that helps them realize that there's a reason why it is that way. And I have to say that was one of the best things my parents did for me was when I was younger, um, my parents told me things that most other parents would find controversial or, against the norm because, oh, you shouldn't be that open with your kid or you shouldn't be that honest with them. No, that's wrong. They need to know you're just as much human as they are. And you falter and you make your mistakes, but we're just as much, human as they are. And um, it all starts with that healthy line of communication. Or at least I believe so. Again, most of the time I'm wrong, but um, I generally try to do the best I can as far as, making things in a way fair, even though I know life's not fair. Um, but I want them to know that it's not just the fact that I'm trying to ruin their fun, or as my son likes to say, destroy his hope. It's just because there's a reason why I say it. Chances are it's because it's a safety thing. Like, for instance, you can't go ride a motorcycle at the age of 8, because you could barely keep your bicycle on 2 wheels. We just learned how to get you off of training wheels. Motorcycle, you have to wait a little bit longer. And then, of course, he wants to rush being little and grow up quickly. And I try to explain to him that no, you don't. You want to stay as little as you can for as long as you can. Because growing up really does suck. It's glorious. But going back to, a conversation also that we had about work, your work, not mine. but more
My
so,
work.
yes, but more so along the lines of there was a line of miscommunication, which causes the animosity at work, and you know instead of you cowering behind and hiding and withdrawing the facts from it, you went right to the source and you're like, hey, this is what happened, this is the problem, and this is my solution on how to fix it. You know, you um you started that line of communication right there, which I didn't say this yesterday, but I want to make sure I say it now. I have a feeling that eventually, within the next couple months, you're going to be made the night shift or second shift manager or whatever. Um, but that's just my belief. But it really does, like, you could be bad at communicating your feelings and thoughts. Like me, I'm the worst at it. But at least if you are open to trying to have that communication and that perspective shift and that mentality thought, um, you're in a good spot at least. And real quick on the whole perspective avenue of things, I was talking with a friend, aka Jack, and we were talking about the tattoo that I'm trying to finish. I was explaining to him how I was struggling with it. We were talking ideas and whatever, and I was telling him how I love artwork that in a way is like a play on words, but obviously in a visual sense that where you can look at it one way and it'd be like a question mark, for instance, let's say, but then look at it upside down and it's a man's face. Um, because that's essentially how I want the tattoo to look. Is I want it to look in one way, like it's dying and shriveled and decaying. But if you look at it from my perspective or my view, it's thriving, it's growing, it's beautiful. Um, and I want it to look like that. That way, it's all about how you see it and how you look at it. And I think that also goes hand in hand because you can look or be in a situation where it seems like it's one way, but without that proper dialogue and that communication, that that's where a lot of issues will come from. Because instead of asking the questions, you're just assuming it and going from there. And also, real quick on that, um, I was talking about how that for the long time was one of mine and Matt's problems is I would I would do things as far as, for instance, get really upset when he would uh when the house wasn't clean and he would come home and then like he'd be aggravated because of work, but like I would always feel like it was the house and then we would fight or whatnot, and I would always then apologize and retreat, and it'd cause issues. But now I go into a little bit details and I'll be like, I'm sorry that I acted that way or this and whatnot. This is why. And yeah, it's a little bit more explaining and whatnot than probably worth it, but it's helped also too because I stop it right then in its tracks. I stop it before it gets bad or before there's any sort of um, problems that can come afterwards. It's just straight and open and honest always. And I really think that a lot of people just need to get back to that because no one, I feel like, has that, that mindset anymore.
I agree.
They don't see it my, they don't see it my way. Oh, we can't be friends. No,
Well,
this
I wouldn't
this will
say
happen.
it. Yes and no. It really depends on the situation because whether you're,
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, yeah, but also at the same time, it is a very healthy thing to do.
it is, but I also think, and I know I'm on a kick about it, but I boundaries are everything, and
Oh,
it's one thing
absolutely.
it's one thing to, fall short and you're apologetic and you do better and you do talk, or you're at least making an attempt to communicate instead of falling short, or something is better than what I call dead air, or
Which,
uh
yes,
going into ghost mode, I also call it.
absolutely. 110%. I will agree with that. Like, as long as, for instance, as long as you're open and you're honest with me, let's say, for instance, I don't do cheating. Cheating's, well, I mean, I used to cheat, I know. But, like, I don't, obviously now as a married lady, that's unacceptable. But let's say he did, right? Let's say something happened, he went out and he cheated on me. If he came home and immediately told me what happened and explained the situation, yeah, I'm gonna be mad, don't get me wrong. But I'd at least be able to kind of appreciate the fact that he was honest about it and just move on from there, and hopefully things, that doesn't happen again, kind of thing. Um, to whereas like if he didn't and he hid it, and I found out later on down the road, it's going to be a lot trickier. And there was an incident once a while ago in our marriage that happened. Granted, it was not cheating, so thankfully that was a good thing. But like I found he had kept something from me, and I found out later on down the road. I was more mad at the fact that he kept it than I was, had he just told me. And you're absolutely right. Like, as long as you are open, you're honest, and you are attempting to make amends for it, it's a lot better than down the road and, you know, doing it that route, I believe. Um, and I get that, it's not always easy. For some people, being that vulnerable, let's say, or that open and that raw with somebody else is a very tricky thing. A lot of people struggle. I know myself included, but it is it's something that it should be worked on, and you have to at least show an attempt that you're trying. Um, because without that I don't want to say proof, but without that initiative, that okay, I could see that there's some greatness or great strides being made. Um, Without that, it's hard to just allow things to continue the way they are. My example more is my kids. As long as I see them actively trying to do better and to listen and to, put somebody else first or think about, you know, doing something for somebody else, okay. Well, I'm a little less strict on the rules, and or I'll be more lenient with certain things. But if it's the same thing day in, day out, and I don't see any visible or noticeable change, no, nothing's gonna happen. The same punishment or the same consequence is still gonna be there, because why reward bad behavior with a positive outcome? Um, so that's again, and that's also where open lines of communication comes into play, because you have to be honest about it, and yeah, it's not always easy. But that whole "it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission" statement is so far beyond false, unless it comes to my shopping habits. Um, that you know that's not how we should do things. If you trust and value your partner, obviously asking for forgive or for permission first is, I don't want to say permission because I don't even like that, but asking for the okay or whatever is a lot better than doing the forgiveness part. Because in my mind, I could be wrong, but in my mind, that's almost equally just as bad, I guess. Because you're doing it knowingly that chances are they would have said no. Um, and that's not exactly right, because I feel like that's a um I don't know how to explain it into a way it makes
It's
sense, but
it's
that's
basically you're going behind someone's back and subconsciously, you know your partner or whoever is not going to agree with it, but go ahead and do it anyways. And like, regardless of what you think the outcome is going to be, I mean, if your partner finds out that you did something behind their back, knowing,
Because they would
you
not
know,
like it.
right, exactly. And that is why
It's almost like spitting in their face, in a
it
sense.
is, or I mean, to me, lying, cheating, stealing, any of
None of
that,
it.
you should not do it. It is
Nope.
not healthy. It
No,
doesn't
absolutely not.
create, right, it doesn't create a healthy life. It doesn't create any good fundamentals, any good morals for a good future, because
No, absolutely.
everything that we do, you know, as an adult, I'm going to just say adulthood in general, everything that we do as an adult, we are going to eventually just be in a position that we're stuck and can't get out of it. And then we're sitting here and going, why?
Yeah.
Well, one, you have to open your mouth. Lying about something, doing something behind someone's back, all the stuff adds up in life. I don't believe it does it as a child. I can't say that 100%
Um,
because,
I
be,
can't only because I'm living it right now with my child, to where I
but
could
they're
see it kind of
not
playing it that way.
right. But I mean, like as an individual, the universe paying it forward to them.
Oh, you know that no,
That
it's still
part,
a hard
no.
lesson, but
Right, but that's why we as parents have to communicate and we have to talk to our kids and set them up. Have to
yep,
make sure that they are ready for the future,
yeah,
because
which is
even,
important.
right, because, you and I live in two completely different states, two completely different environments, and we grew up with four different people.
Yep,
So,
a lot of things that we do are not similar at all, even though people would not know that.
right, I mean, there's things that you and I know about each other that other people are like, what the fuck?
It's true. I mean, we do know way more about each other than most people do.
Right. But that I think, you know, took us time to engage in that communication and figuring each other out, you know?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of times where you would constantly say, "Hey, like, I want to tell you something, but don't judge me," before you realize that that was never going to happen.
Right.
It was never going to be like that. And it took a while for both, not, well, both of us to kind of really trust the other
Right. You
as
you
far
got to
as, you know,
right. We're building that credibility.
yep, absolutely
100%.
not. Yeah.
It's like me yesterday. I messaged you and I said, "Oh, F, what the fuck? I am such a shitty fucking person. How are you doing? I'm concerned about what I have going on in my life." And I'm like, wow, what a shitty person. Here, how are you doing? And you didn't take it that way, but that's how I perceived it because I was like, man, I'm being conceited. I
Yep.
felt
And with any other
so,
friendship or relationship in our lives, that has been pointed out to us that,
right.
you know, that makes us a bad friend. So we already subconsciously are, you know, in our heads about it.
Oh,
And absolutely, like,
yeah.
uh, which is how, by the way, as much as communication is a positive thing here, that's how communication can also be negative, real quick. Is by the way you
It
talk to
can.
someone can destroy a whole lot on their mentality.
Right. I think when we talk to people, we should Hello. I think when we talk to people, and I fail at this. I fail. I am not the greatest at it. I suck at it. Um, but when I talk to people, it's hard for me to be in their feelings. It's it's there's certain situations where I just don't want to be like, "Yep, I'm here. I'm here with you." Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, "Bro, you're how old?
Yeah, and
You
there have been
you
times when you message me like, "Yo, I need you to handle this because I can't."
right." And that's where I'm like, "Oh my god, I just want to fucking like how
Punch
the fuck
them. No.
how old are you?" Like you can't put your underwear on right? You can't pull your pants up after that? Like
Nope.
how do you do that? You know? It just blows my mind. I understand that I haven't had the worst life. I have not. Nowhere even close.
But we also weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouth either.
No, that is very true. But I'm not sitting here and being like, oh, well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go make this bad decision so I can get this. And then I'm going to go over here and make this bad decision so I can get this. And it's like all that stuff, it tallies up,
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like
110%.
when we think or when we talk, you're putting it into the universe.
Yeah, you've yelled at me for that a few times.
And I think mental trauma is worse sometimes than physical.
And to on that also on that route of things, I was well, let's put it this way, in the earliest stages of my relationship with my husband, he was emotionally abusive. Granted, uh, the only thing I will give to him there is the fact that he didn't know what he was doing. It was how he was raised, and we didn't know mental illness until, a little while ago. But, he was in a way emotionally abusive, and verbally, and not saying that that is anywhere near the same. But it didn't feel great. And as someone who has also struggled with, being a cheater and being cheated on, also that whole route of, cheating, lying, and whatever, stealing. I think that was the other thing you said. Um, I
Yeah.
paid my karmic debt for that, and it is not one that I would wish on my worst enemies because it's not to repay that debt to society took a lot, and it's. I don't want to say I don't want to get biblical here, but put it this way: you can't do something wrong and then when it's your time to go, be like, "Hey, God, just kidding. So sorry about that. Can I still come to heaven?" No.
No.
Uh, that's not like. Don't get me wrong. I believe you're. I don't want to say given a pass, but like, yeah, you may have like I broke the adultery deadly sin, right? But I don't think I'd go to hell. I think I'm generally a good person enough to get into heaven. And I did my repentance for it, whatever. But it's not like I'm continuously living that life. I changed. I said my sorries. When's my time? Like, hey, can I come? I'd be just like, yeah, I'm in here. But like, you can't just keep doing it and expect it to work out in your favor ever.
Oh, no, right. And you can't expect whatever your devotion is to in any practice of any kind or form of religion or whatever at the
I only
end
just
of
use the religion
I know
aspect of
you
it.
did.
Just
I was trying to cover all the bases.
well, no, and I get that. I was just trying to do it for
Right,
severity.
right. But I don't think us at the end of the day, regardless of what we believe in, we can't sit here and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a great person." when you've lied to people your whole life, you've cheated on people your whole life, whether it's a friend or a significant other, you've stolen, you can't,
Well,
like
yeah,
you said, you can't expect good things to come if you aren't putting good out there. You can't,
absolutely.
you can't just be like, oh, it's okay. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. Yeah, you're still here and you're still breathing, but
But
you're
how good are
still
is your life?
right, but you're still walking through life causing chaos, causing problems, not just for yourself, but for other people.
Oh,
Just
absolutely.
because
And
you don't, just because you yourself don't see it happen, does not mean it doesn't happen.
exactly. And going back, like I cheated on every boyfriend I've ever had or girlfriend that I've ever had. Um, one time I stole from a charity. Not a lot of money, but I stole from a charity. Um, like I lived a life of bad, and I constantly used to fight people a lot. Um, and that whole saying, once a cheater, always a cheater, not always true. Because I am living proof of that. But
So am I.
but I also know that my life changed almost completely from that lifestyle. Granted, all my crimes that I committed, I rolled my eyes for those who can't see, um, was all done before legal age where I could get child as an adult. So, like, thankfully, there was that. But, I learned the lesson the hard way and I learned the consequences to it. And instead of sitting there always, going, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And like, why can't I find love? Why, like, so on and so forth. Instead of sitting there with the pity party, I got up and I did something. I became a
Right,
volunteer firefighter. I started this podcast to help people. Like, I started putting good back into the world, and then I started seeing the benefits from it too,
right.
because I stopped doing the bad.
You were changing your behavior. You were changing it for the greater good. And it wasn't just for other people, but it was mainly for yourself because you knew that you couldn't do anything for anybody else unless you did for you.
Absolutely, and yeah, the podcast is, was and is still a thing that is for me, but it was for those people who didn't have what I had growing up, which I wish I had, then therefore would have probably had done most of the things I did. But that's where, communication also ties in. I didn't have yeah, my parents were honest with a lot of things. Granted, my mom told me about acid and I really wanted to try it. But like they were honest about it, but I didn't have that line of communication where I had that out to, talk on. And, that was one of the things that this podcast has allowed me to do is to be that person for someone to obviously help them navigate the hardships and the bad times and um stop it in its tracks in itself to kind of prevent further bad things happening. Because,
I agree.
who wants
I
that?
I 100% agree with that statement. And I say that because, so my dad has three older sisters, you know, and two of his sisters are drug addicts and alcoholics, and one is somewhere around, and
Yeah, we don't
he
like
doesn't
mine one
talk,
year.
yeah, he doesn't talk to any of his family. He talks to none of them. And growing up, my dad's always like, I don't want you hanging out with your aunts, you know, and he would never tell me why. He's just kind of like, I didn't even notice. I didn't even really notice until I got older. And then I come to realize that my dad didn't want me hanging out with them or having anything to do with them because of these actions. He did not want me falling into what they did.
Yeah. And my dad did the same, slightly different, but, took that same route.
Hmm.
Whereas I didn't learn
And my,
until later on in life.
right. And you were saying that your mom and dad never talked to you about drugs. You didn't have that
Oh, no, they
open.
did.
You did?
They did on that. They did on that, but like I didn't have that. The So like we had that line of communication where everything they told us things and I would tell them things, but it wasn't like I was able to um in a sense, like freely talk about it. Like my dad gave me my first sip of beer to try to deter me from drinking it, or my mom would tell me of the dangers of acid, which made me want to do it more. Um,
See, I didn't get any of that. My parents never drank. My parents
but
didn't
it
do
was
any.
more. It wasn't like on the educational side of things.
Oh, but
Like
that's the
they just
thing.
told me more of their story.
Yeah, I didn't even get any of that. I just got don't do that, you
Yeah, which
know.
only also makes me want to do it more too, by the way.
Yeah, and then, I was in my teens, my later teens, and my mom found a glass pipe under my bed, a weed pipe, you know. And then I got shipped out to somebody else's house because I'm a huge troublemaker because I smoke pot.
Oh, I told my dad
No,
when I first smoked pot.
I I
Also, when I
didn't
lost my
even get.
virginity.
Yeah. Well, I didn't tell my parents any of that because me and my parents never had that open relationship. Now, I will say I did have that relationship with my mom's dad, my grandfather. And to this day, if I could if I could find that one person that to fill that little void, you know, you you know how people say that us as women try to find somebody that replicates our father?
Yes. You
I
usually
don't
end up
think
marrying the person that's like your father.
Yeah, I don't think I look for that. I think I look for somebody that replicates my grandpa, that has
But see, that's
compassion.
not entirely the worst thing either.
No, it's not because he had compassion, but he was also stern. He also listened to me. He didn't say, "Oh, well, you made no sense whatsoever. You're wrong." He listened to me and the words that came out of my mouth because I am a very intellectual person. What I say may not make sense to you, but I can get it to the point where maybe you do understand where I'm coming from because that's where you help me in the communication part of it. Now is that I can convey to you what I'm thinking and what's going on, and you can reconvert it. Not that you're talking for me, but you're converting it into words that normal
Makes sense to
people,
you.
right? And then be like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly," and you knew and it's great. I get people that are just like, "What the fuck are you talking about? That makes no fucking sense." And that's the
And,
frustrating part to me because I don't have that in real time,
yeah,
in the
and
physical sense.
which get that too, because I was always the loner, so I had no one to talk to. So a lot of the arguments I had or discussions I would have would be usually one-sided, but I used to do it in my head. So I would plan the talk out before we'd have the talk, or an argument before we had the argument, because I was a loner. I had time. Uh, so obviously I learned how to work certain conversations in, but it's definitely tricky too, because again, people are just so quick to judge or place the blame to where it's like they don't even want to hear you um in a sense even kind of like say anything because they already have it in their head that you're wrong or whatever. And I'm an intel yep, that word too, even though I can't say it.
Intellectual.
Yeah, thank you. Even though I can't say it. I'm very passionate about a lot of topics that I talk on, and I talk on things that I have a vast knowledge on, but people don't know that because they see the fun-loving part of me. So without even thinking or asking or whatever, they've already preconceived in their mind that I'm not intelligent. Therefore, whatever I say has no meaning or no value.
Right.
And that's not true. Um, but I love the fact that it was your grandfather that did that for you. My grandfather did the same, but scared the shit out of me. And by that I mean when he would sneeze, it sounded like he said horse shit very loudly. But the first time he told me he loves me was when I was 21 years old. Because he wasn't an emotional type of person. Made me cry. Sorry, continue.
Aw.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I'm not a big softie, guys. I don't cry ever. I'm a badass.
Big girls don't cry. We don't cry. What are you
Don't
talking
cry.
about?
We get even.
No,
What are you talking about?
right, right. And that's the cool part is that when we find that one person that we can talk to about anything and everything and know that everything's going to be okay after that conversation, there's no judgment, there's no any form of verbal trauma, and you can still be who you want to be at the end of the day. You know, if if that person looks at you and be like, listen, this is what you need to change, this is how you need to be different, you're like, you know what, I see it from your perspective. A person will open their mind and look at things very differently if you communicate on a different level. Keep an
Oh,
open
absolutely.
mind. And I know I'm guilty of it. I know I'm guilty of being closed-minded. I know I'm guilty of cutting people off. I do it to you. You do it to me. But if you instantly come at somebody and you talk to them sideways or however disrespectful, however you want to put it,
Anyway, less than a human.
right? They're not going to accept it. They're not going to be okay with it. They're going to be like, "What the fuck?" And then they're instantly going to be on the defense. And then it's
And they're
like,
gonna shut down and
right,
yeah.
it's fight or flight mode. Well, I mean, to me, I don't flee. I won't flee from altercation. I will
Oh, I
rush
do. I
right.
hate
I
it.
will rush right into that son of a bitch, and I will
I mean,
be
it
like,
depends on the
"Listen,
altercation, but yes.
right." I mean, you're right. Certain there are maybe a couple that I do not argue because I'm like, this is not. Nope. I don't.
It
Nope.
doesn't serve you any good to do it.
Right. But there are certain ones to where I'm like, okay, I'm here.
Let's rumble.
Right. And I mean, I will fight tooth and nail to the day's done. Till
Yep.
my last fucking breath. I will fucking be who I am, you
Oh
know?
yeah, because there's no point in hiding who you are anymore,
No. But
especially in today's day
right,
and age.
right. 100%, 100%, Ben. And this is
But
where us as people, as myself, we jump the gun and we're not listening to everything. But then, you have the person that, you know, it really depends on your company too,
oh,
who you're
absolutely.
conversing with.
Because like I know, for instance, like I will not engage or you know fight with my mother-in-law anymore on certain things because it's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. It's not fucking worth it 'cause she's too close-minded to understand. And I don't need that. I don't need to sit here and defend myself to you above all people on, for instance, why gay people should have the right to live. I'm sorry, if you are a God-fearing person, you should know why a person should deserve to live.
And it's
Because they're
and
people.
right. And my thing is, just real quick, why are we looking at people like they're just because they're like somebody else other than who you think that they should like?
We
I
shouldn't.
think I think that whole fucking thing just needs to go the fuck away. I don't care. As long
Yep,
as you're a good person, that's all that fucking matters. Just fucking
absolutely.
tell me what you want to be called, and that's what I'll fucking call you.
Absolutely.
You
And like
know?
that's the other thing that bothers me. My mom, she looks like a dude. I can look like a dude depending on the day. If you call me sir, I'm not offended that you called me sir. I will be like, hey, I'm sorry, but I am a guy, or I am a woman. My pronouns are she, her, or whatever. But like, there are people out there who will literally cut your throat out, um, for giving them the wrong pronouns, and I don't believe that that should be fair. If for one whatever reason you look like a man and I say sir to you and you bite my head off and you're like, no, it's ma'am. Well, I'm sorry that I judged and I conceived it and whatever. But my apologies. You didn't have to come at me that strongly for it. Also, along the lines with I don't care who you love and I don't care what you do behind closed doors with the person you love. I just don't need to see it. on the streets. And that goes for men and women. I
I
don't need to
mean,
see you
that,
make love on the street, just like
right,
I
that's
don't need to see two guys doing it either, or two women.
exactly. It's common decency. I mean, I with the yes ma'am, yes sir.
Oh, I'm always a yes ma'am, yes sir type of person. I was raised with Southern values in a way. Everything is yes sir, yes ma'am. Why are you laughing at me?
Nothing.
I'm gonna hit you.
I'm not laughing at you.
Definitely not. How? You're not laughing with me.
But
I'm not
no,
laughing.
sorry.
Don't get choked up now.
That was great. Um,
Again, I don't know what to do
no,
for it.
no, no, I would never. Anyways, uh, I I think when it comes to being a good human, we can
We've fallen
always
short.
strive. I think we do fall short, and I think we do have. uh, We've lost. We lost morals. We've lost
Oh,
what
100%.
it. We've lost what it's like to just be a fucking human, not a
Yep, and a
human.
decent one at that.
Right. And doing good in general.
hmm
It is just,
Mind-boggling.
it is. And you know, talking about kids, you know, I've had it, I've been working with James really good, really kind of not forcing it, but, you
You've been
know,
great. Like I've
I've,
seen it.
right, I've been trying to get him to be on the same page as me. So he, in his future, is different.
And that's what
Following
I've been trying to do
through,
with my son, is just to teach him how to be a good
right.
human.
Follow through. If you make an agreement, no. If you make an agreement and you say, yes, I'm gonna do that, you stick to it. You do it. You don't go sideways. You don't do zigzag. You don't do swirls and not even keep your word,
Yep.
and
And I did that the other day, and I told you how proud I was for actually doing it. It
right.
was something I needed to do.
And James, he has been doing fucking phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Jinxie
So
owe me a soda.
I asked him, I said, hey, because he goes, I'm gonna go back to my dad's. I'm like, cool, that's fine. Go back to your dad's. He's like, I will feed Bailey before I leave, and then I will be back the next day to feed her again. I'll be back. And he communicated. Yes, he kind of fell short on the last part on telling me when he was coming back because I didn't know. But I uh I really, really, really was really happy with him because he told me what he was gonna do. He followed through with it. He came back the next day, regardless of the point that he didn't tell me he was already back. The point is, he kept his word and he followed through. So I went out and I rewarded him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't ask you, but that's awesome. I knew you were going to.
Yeah. I'll say I bought him a
Did you buy me one?
no, I didn't buy you one. Your gift. Uh
No.
yeah,
What
you
was it?
did. You got your, it's in the mail.
I know. I said
Good.
I
You
know.
already got it. I know. So uh no, so I went out this morning and we went to the store and I got him a Lego. He got a Lego bike. And it's pretty badass, to be honest with you. It's Kawasaki.
Ooh,
Um,
at least like his legs, but ooh, nice.
right. It's actually really fucking neat. Um, but the thing is I told him, I said, you know, it's not that I'm trying to force you to do it. I said, it's the point we made an agreement. If you want to change your agreement, then we need to talk about it. But I said, you made an agreement. I said, I'm not trying to set you up for failure, but I want you to know that when you make an agreement with somebody, you stick to that agreement.
Oh, 100%. And that's what I'm trying to do with my son. And
Right,
we made a deal with him, and he lost the deal, and he was like, "Oh, well, give me another chance." I was like, "No, you had your other chance, and you lost it."
right.
And I was like,
And
"I don't want to do this. This is not fun for me." But you need to learn that consequences to actions.
hi, Jack. So,
Ow,
in
you.
that regard, now that I have made that agreement with uh now that I made that agreement with James, again, I said, "Hey, are you cool with me perceiving forward and having the same conversation but in a adult manner with your father?" And he said, "Yeah, that's fine." And he was like, "I'm good with it." And I was like, "Great." Because when it comes to communication, I would rather let James know, "Hey, this is what's going on. I'm not going to go into detail exactly what I'm going to tell your father, but
But you're treating him like an adult and not a child.
right, because, we've given him the choice to communicate. Hey, mom, I want to stay here another week. Do you care if I stay another week and then I come back later?" Yes. All you got to do is communicate, just
Yep.
talk. And
And
that's
that's like
where we've been.
again another thing we're trying to teach. Caleb, respect
Right.
is not given; it's earned.
e- Exactly. And so I know James has been struggling with the communicating part, but man, he hit a fucking home run. He blew this right out of the fucking water. And I told him, I said, "You keep doing this." I said, "This is just the beginning." I said, "If you keep doing this, there's a reward at the end."
Hmm.
I said, "It's not going to be every week, but I said,
But
this is your first step."
yeah. And that's
So
that's
I'm
one of my honestly my harder things with the kids is they don't see that in the future, so they don't care. It's the here and now thing for them. But I tell them all the time, it's like we notice what you do as parents. We see what you're doing. We see you either do the right thing or the wrong thing. And yeah, it
right.
may not be rewarded right then and there, but it will get rewarded.
Oh, 100%.
Oh shit.
So with all that, as a parent or human, no, if I fall short as a human, which I know I do apologize. I don't always get to everybody when I need to get to them. I
No, we
fall
fall
short.
short
I
sometimes.
fall short on that, but I do apologize.
That is true. You do.
And I do mean it, with
Train.
yes.
There's a
I
long black train. Sorry.
I don't think it's black. Uh
That's good. I also don't think it's Chef Turner on that train, man.
I don't think so either. So
That would be
with
great.
all of that, us as humans, you picked a really bad time to be doing a drive by. All right?
Listen, eh, I'll finish your thought for you though, but as humans, we fall short. Always. To fault is to be, or to err is human. But acknowledging your faults and your shortcomings and acknowledging them and communicating them, it generally works out for the better.
It does. And I make sure I do try and make sure that I talk to my people. And
I mean, you
sometimes
definitely
I
make time.
right, and right now at this time, I know that I don't talk to a lot of people. I haven't even been on live,
I mean, me
on
neither.
TikTok live in the morning time. Um, um, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I have been putting my time. into James and making sure that he understands that yes, I do enjoy social media. Yes, I do enjoy my friends, but I can also take time and just give it to him too. You
Which is,
know,
it, it,
it go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's definitely hard with that too because my son doesn't quite get it. Uh, but I try to explain to him just as best as I can that social media, yeah, it's a tricky slope, but yeah, there are good and bad with it. Like the good for me is I met a bunch of people who, had made me comfortable as to who I am. Also, I found people that are equally minded like me and I can be myself with, which has now brought me to be who I am and where I am and doing the things I do, meaning like how to be, a safe space for others. Um, and then like it's just for me, social media is more of an outlet for me to help other people because I don't want to leave my home to do it, but I can do it here. So not all the time is me going on live or on social media. A social call, sometimes it's actually for benefiting or helping others. Um, but at the same time, yes, nothing comes above your children. Nothing comes above being a mom. But that balance is definitely a tricky one. But it's one that is, as long as that, again, the communication line is there, it generally helps.
It
Now,
does.
if you're 8 years old and stubborn, though,
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. At 8 when you're 8 years old, nothing matters but what you want.
I know, and that's the hard thing. It's like, I love the fact that he's, developing his personality, and I love that he knows what he wants. It's just you're not going to get it when you want it, especially if mommy doesn't get what she wants. Which is, going off of that comment real quick, that was something that took me, what, he's 8 years to realize. I struggled for the longest time um, between being a mom and finding out who Jennifer was because I lost sight on who Jen was. Um, whether it was from just, friends who constantly would abandon me or whatever, I lost sight of who I was. And, then I was judged harshly for, everything I do. Uh, and I fell short a lot. And it wasn't until he was 5 that I realized I was in postmortem depression or postpartum depression. Um, and I started, working on myself. And within the two
Right?
years that I really started a whole new journey outside of that, I think I came a very far way into finding who I am. Still the same weird person, but at least now I know it.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't even think I know who I am anymore, but I'm here
you're
and
finding
I'm
it.
living. I am. It's it's a live and let learn. That's
Yeah.
one
I mean,
thing I will say. I strive to learn
and which
better.
is why, like, for instance, like, I've been on my iPad a lot recently, and I get that it's not healthy-ish in a way, and I should put it down from time to time. But I'm trying to perfect this, um, I'm trying to learn this new avenue of graphic designing because, yeah, I have imposter syndrome, and yeah, I don't think I'm a good graphic designer, and I'm trying to prove that to myself, and in doing so, once I finish an image, like that would be proof for me. So it's more for my like I can do this type of attitude mentality. And once I can do that, then I can prove to my kids they could do anything. But it's hard for me to prove that to them without myself. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Oh shit. Sorry. Don't know if you heard that, but
Yeah,
switched over to
of
music.
course I heard.
Oh, sorry. Um, but like I have to first be able to prove it to myself before I can show them that it's possible. And um, but yeah, it took me forever to find who our Jen was. I'm still finding her, but being uh confident is really strong there. But also at the same time, like, how can you tell your kids they could be anything if you yourself don't believe it? Or better yet, um, how can you tell your daughter not to think of herself in a negative way, meaning she's fat or she's ugly, if you were constantly degrading yourself in front of them, which is something you and a lot of people have told me I do. Um, and it's one of those things where like as a parent, we have to do good for ourselves so we could do good for them. Oh, thank you. You too can. Um, it's a hard avenue, but honestly, we are the future in a way because we are, I don't want to say training the future, but we are what's in motion. We are, if they learn negativity from us, that's what they're going to have going into the future, and therefore it's just going to be an endless cycle of it. But if we could break it and we can train them to be good humans, not train, sorry, they're not dogs, but if we can set their mindsets to be good humans, then hopefully we'll have a better future.
I agree, 100%. Oh man.
Hmm. But I think it's a good ending point-ish. If
Ish.
no, this is definitely something that can have probably multiple episodes and discussions on. I was just more so referring to it being the end of the night's episode.
Oh yes.
Unless you disagree,
No,
and then we
we
can
can.
continue for all I care.
No, I'm good. I am. I'm
All
cool with
right.
it. I think I.
Would you like? Oh,
Go ahead. I'm listening.
uh, I was going to ask you if you'd like to do the honors of pulling the oracle. But it sounded like you were
Oh
about to say something else.
no, no, I'm good. I was just. I was having a brain fart. That's all. Just
Oh,
a
I
br-
love those. Those are always fun.
they are not fun at all. I don't like them.
Well, I'd rather deal with a brain fart than a regular fart because regular farts smell.
Oh, that is very true. Very true.
I know.
I won't
I'm more
disagree
aware.
with you there. I will not disagree with you there. Okay, let's
Oh,
pull. Let's pull her out, shall we?
what one are we using?
Oh, we are using my talisman oracles. Which, by the
Ooh.
way, I really like these cards, but I might upgrade.
Oh, to what?
I don't know. I found some that I really like. That a lady sells in her shop. Um, yeah, I really like them. Maybe sometime
Send
I
me her
will.
shop.
Huh?
I said send me the link to her shop because I want to check it out. I want to see if she has the one I like.
Oh,
Because I want the fairy wisdom one.
ooh, I don't think she'll have the fairy
Ooh.
wisdom one. I know who does have the fairy wisdom one.
Amazon?
No,
Oh, then who?
why do you always go to fucking Amazon, bro?
Because locally to me, there's nobody really around, and Amazon is, well,
You don't.
there is the metaphysical shop by my husband's job, but I'm
Oh.
hardly over that way. I'm definitely not taking my kids in there.
Oh.
I only go there when I go get my tattoo, which you all know I haven't been there for a while.
That sucks.
I know, it really does. It sucks that I have
One
to wait
day,
until next year. You know, with our next tax return.
somewhere over the rainbow.
Bluebirds,
All
something.
right, let's see. What does Oracle have to tell us today? You think it's gonna be a good one?
I hope so. I can use some uplifting advice.
Uplifting? Whew.
Yes. After my week, yes. Especially after a phone call the other night.
Our phone call?
Yeah, the one where I'm going to hell in a fast car,
Oh yeah. Which, by the way, future
which is the TikTok
episode.
I was talking about, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Future episode. Ooh, future episode. We are gonna have a discussion about that.
Yeah, oh, I know. Which is why I made the TikTok I made. So after this, you should go watch it.
I will. Okay.
What is this?
So, uh, two cards flew out.
Oh boy.
I know. One of them is letting go,
Oh,
and the other,
true.
they're both L's.
Oh, of course they are. L is for the way you.
Love
Hold
me.
on.
Oh, and they're in chronological order.
Of
So
course. You
letting
didn't shuffle it enough.
go.
That's what it was.
You want me to shuffle it again? I'll try it
No.
again. Okay. Okay, letting go. Just like running water, everything keeps constantly changing. Ooh, this suits.
Ooh, that sounds pretty though.
That that goes.
Speaking words of
Hold
wisdom, let it be.
yeah, you've been holding on to a burden that that's been slowing you down. Sometimes we know that what that other times we need to examine our needs and behavior. Often holding on comes from a need to control our life and
Huh.
surroundings. Ha! It gives us comfort that we can direct circumstances and avoid a painful path. But if we let go of the illusion of control, we find peace and enjoy the ride. Being vulnerable offers an opportunity for connection and closure. Like the little crab has, which you guys can't see the picture. There's a
No.
crab on here, okay, and there is a rose or some sort of flower on the bottom. The little crab has to learn to let things go. The flower in front of him is a delicate gift from nature to bring joy. Ooh, that one's
Oh, I like
pretty.
that. That's kind of uplifting, depending on how you look at it.
So, I mean, it's told you. And then we have Luna, which
Oh
it
boy.
has, yes, it has a flower and two feathers.
That's what I wanted my next girl's name to be.
Right.
But
This card represents the freedom of desire and the illusion path of moonlight dreams. The night can bring comfort, let your imagination fly, and to show your wild side. In the dark, our subconscious can bring to the surface vivid clues of our hidden situation. You can archive your goals and desires if you pay close attention to the limitations of logic and reason. This card can also represent pro. Yes. Okay.
yes.
Pro. Uh, I'm having a moment. I'm struggling. I don't know why I'm struggling.
Want to spell it out?
Prophetic dreams
There you go.
and the unrealized wild side that calls upon you.
I like that.
I think, even though it called this out,
Just a smidge.
because I know it called me out, I will not deny.
It definitely had its ways with me. Different avenue, but still, still things I need to work on.
Right. I know that there are things that I need to work on and that I need to do better, but in due time, it shall
Which we
come.
talked about that earlier. So,
Yes, yes, we did. So, with
ooh,
that
I like
being
what is it?
said, right. So, with that being said, I
Yes,
know I will say it again, strive to do better.
always.
Stay positive. I said it a lot today at work with the people I worked with because there
I
was a
said a
lot
lot
of,
with the people I work
yeah,
with too.
hostile.
Very hostile. HR should become.
Right. There was a lot of negative energy at work today. So I, of course, came in with my positive,
Pistols and coup and
no,
positivity. No, I'm kidding.
with my mouth,
Yeah, that gets me in
and
trouble.
I was being positive though. And all I said was positive. I said, if you want positive, speak positive.
If you want to put it,
Don't,
if you want to have positive come back to you, you need to put it out there.
right. You can't expect a fucking pot of gold shit in your hand if you're not doing nothing about it.
Absolutely. And I had that same talk earlier today as well. So therefore, very fitting for the day.
Right. So,
But yes, no, just be better humans. That's all. That's all we have to
right.
do. Is just
Don't
try a
suck.
little bit harder.
Stop sucking.
Well, I
Nobody
mean,
likes nobody likes a sucker. And
yeah,
remember,
let's not go there. Some
okay.
people do.
Um, yeah,
I mean,
if
they
you're a
prefer
sucker
followers,
fish,
but
yeah, if you're a sucker fish,
I was going
uh,
to a different avenue for sure.
sure. But
Sure.
anyways, don't
Yep.
be a shitty human.
Nope. Do better. And definitely come back. And we'll call you out again in other ways.
Right. Remember, stay unfiltered.
Unhinged first. First off.
Listen, I was saying it. You screwed it up the first time. I'm screwing it up the second time.
Listen, we're definitely unrehearsed.
We are. So
Okay.
stay unhinged, unfiltered, unscripted, and most definitely unmedicated. Sometimes.
Yes. Hell
Sometimes.
fucking yeah, man.
Listen, I'm not
Just
down.
saying.
I'm not downing 420.
What?
Unmedicated. You can
Oh.
medicate with it.
Listen, I was not thinking that as medication. I was thinking of something so different.
Oh, well, some
I was
people
thinking
do.
about like the Adderall aspect of life.
Oh, yeah. Drugs are
You
bad.
know
Stay
about
away from drugs. Drugs are bad. Don't do it.
well, I mean,
It's a horrible, horrible loophole. Okay?
yeah, or do whatever you're gonna do anyways. 'Cause you're gonna do it, but uh, no judgments. That's all I'm trying to say.
Sometimes.
But yeah, no, don't do it. Bad news bears, guys.
Bad news.
Nothing
All
good
right.
ever happens after 2 a.m. All right, yes, bye.
Love
Let's go.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.